coming down.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Cara Christ, and I'm the director of the Arizona Department of Health Services. Mic is not on. Oh, there's no PA. Okay, we're good then? All right. Perfect. All right, so thank you guys for joining us for a significant step forward for COVID-19 vaccinations in the East Valley and in Arizona. This weekend, we hit some major milestones. As of yesterday, over 1 million doses of vaccine had been administered at our state-operated pods. For the first time since we started operating on January 11th, State Farm Stadium, our 24/7 pod, closed to transition to overnight hours. And we closed out our Chandler Gilbert Community College site to transition our staff and volunteers indoors. Thanks to the generous support from Dexcom and the City of Mesa, along with other partners, we are opening this indoor drive-thru facility. It's the first of its kind among state-run vaccination sites. I'm pleased to be joined by Major General Michael McGuire, Adjutant General for Arizona and the Director of the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs. Assistance from DEMA and the National Guard have been essential as we have continued to open up state sites and have administered over 1 million doses of vaccine. I'm also pleased to be joined by John Giles, the Mayor of Mesa. The city has been a tremendous supporter of keeping a vaccination presence in the East Valley as we transition from an outdoor operation to an indoor operation. I'm also very excited to be joined by James Castleman. He's the General Manager of Dexcom's Mesa operations. We are so grateful to Dexcom for providing access to this site and the other support the company is providing as we continue to vaccinate Arizonans. Maria Cristina Fuentes is the Director of the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family, and she's going to provide comments in Spanish as we open this innovative site. With the temperature starting to push 100 degrees, we have been working to transition our vaccination sites indoors. Last Friday, we announced that State Farm Stadium site will move later this month into Gila River Arena. Today, we are announcing an indoor vaccination site at Westworld, opening April 22nd. This site in Scottsdale will offer convenient access for North Valley and tribal communities. And we are keeping the momentum going. As we expect more vaccine to begin reaching Arizona, we want to make sure that we're looking out for our staff, our volunteers, our equipment, and our patients. Soon after this event, hundreds of vehicles will pass through this facility, and the patients will benefit from this spacious, climate-controlled space provided by Dexcom. As of this morning, over 3.7 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered to more than 2.3 million individuals, and almost 1.5 million Arizonans are now fully vaccinated. All of this is good news. It's a testament to the commitment of the staff and volunteers statewide and to the many Arizonans who have rolled up their sleeves. But there's still more work that needs to be done. As vaccine becomes available at more and more places, I encourage everyone to visit azdhs.gov/findvaccine and make an appointment to get vaccinated. These safe and effective vaccines are truly the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're our path to returning to normal and protecting ourselves, our families, and our communities. Thanks again to Dexcom and the City of Mesa for being such generous hosts. With that, I invite Major General McGuire to the podium.
Thanks, Dr. Christ, and good afternoon, everybody. Couldn't be prouder of the partnership with the City of Mesa, Dexcom, ASU, and Walgreens, who have helped migrate this site from Chandler Gilbert, which we just shut down over this past weekend, and moved it to an indoor site. As you know, we're getting into the summer months, and our role in the Department of Emergency and Military Affairs is to help do the site setup, planning, and transition, bring the guardsmen in for the first 3 days while we build out that huge, robust spirit of volunteerism in this state. We're continuing to need those volunteers, not just at this site, but at every state-run site and every pod that we have out there as we continue to drive towards getting 3.5 million of our fellow Arizonans, especially those most at risk, vaccinated by July 1st. So glad to have this great partnership with Dexcom, this outstanding facility, and the huge support that we have from the community. Mayor Giles is here with me today, and I'll let him talk a little bit about the great things the citizens of Mesa are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Isn't this a cool event? And I mean that both literally and figuratively. Obviously, as natives of the desert, we understand the importance of being smart and being innovative and finding ways to get things done, even in the heat of the summer. And so I am really excited to see this event and to see this facility come online. We have been advocating for a high volume vaccination distribution facility in the East Valley. And this is, we are so grateful to the state of Arizona, to Dexcom for the sacrifices, for the contributions that they've been making to make this site a possibility. We're thrilled to welcome our partners from the Arizona Department of Health Services, the National Guard, and the Governor's Office. Also, you'll notice there's a lot of Dexcom staff that are involved in this. There's a lot of City of Mesa public safety personnel, both with the fire and health, and also with the police department, that have worked really hard to make this possible and will continue to work really hard to make this be successful. It really has been a wonderful collaboration, and it's been rewarding to see everyone come together and work so well in this situation. Mesa, as you know, is not a small city. We are the 35th largest city in the United States. And I have no doubt we are also the gateway through the east to get to the Valley of the Sun. So this is a very strategic location. You're going to see long lines and a lot of people utilizing this site from Mesa, from Queen Creek, from Chandler, from Gilbert, from all parts of the state. So again, we're excited at what a strategic location this is and how successful it's going to be. I want to give particular thanks to our Fire Chief, Mary Camelli. The Mesa Fire and Medical team has been very involved for many months in vaccine distribution, and they've worked very hard to make this a reality, along with Lieutenant Stokes and Chief Ken Koss from the Mesa Police Department, who will be staffing this nearly full time. At this time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Jim Castleman, who's the General Manager of Operations for Dexcom in the City of Mesa. Dexcom is made a huge financial contribution, a huge contribution in the disruption of donating this space for public use. I hope that we'll all, we are very proud to be the home of Dexcom. For those of you who don't know, if you know anyone in your life who is diabetic, they know about Dexcom. It's a continuous glucose monitoring company that has literally changed the life of countless people across the globe. So we're very proud to be the home of this company, and I'm very grateful to Mr. Castleman and to Dexcom for their tremendous contribution to make this possible. Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm Jim Castleman, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning at Dexcom. We are all about improving the health care of citizens, not only in the United States, but across the world with the continuous glucose monitoring system. And when the opportunity arose to help establish a mass vaccination drive-through indoor capability, we jumped on it. Because we know that, living in the East Valley, we know what we're facing, and we knew how critical it was to get this set up. And in very short order, we did so, and a lot of collaboration with the city and with the state and within Dexcom itself. This was really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to set something like this up. We had the window of opportunity with this space that we're utilizing today, and we look forward to the coming 2.5, almost 3 months to help vaccinate fellow Arizona citizens and get this taken care of. So thank you very much, and we look forward to this being really successful.
Muy buenos días. Mi nombre es María Cristina Fuentes y soy la directora de la Oficina del Gobernador para Juventud, Fe y Familia. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos hoy aquí en un nuevo paso muy importante para la vacunación de COVID-19 en Arizona. Gracias en especial al apoyo de Dexcom y de la ciudad de Mesa, junto con otros enlaces en la comunidad, estamos abriendo este centro de vacunación. Es el primero de este tipo en los centros de vacunación estatales. El alcalde de Mesa, Giles, y la ciudad han apoyado enormemente la presencia de la vacunación en esta región mientras se realiza la transición de una operación al aire libre en Chandler y Gilbert a con un centro interno con muchísima ayuda de Dexcom. James Castleman es el director general de las operaciones de Dexcom en Mesa y estamos muy agradecidas por Dexcom por proporcionar el acceso a la vacuna a un nivel mucho más seguro, ahora que la temperatura está comenzando a llegar a cerca de 100 grados. Hemos estado trabajando en esta transición a nuestros centros de vacunación estatales para que todos estén en el interior. Es muy importante que estos centros de vacunación puedan tener una transición tranquila a centros internos por la seguridad de los pacientes, la seguridad de los voluntarios, la tecnología, y pues por eso estamos muy agradecidos por estos enlaces. Justo después de este evento van a empezar a pasar vehículos por aquí para empezar las vacunaciones. Al día de hoy, hasta esta mañana, se han administrado más de 3.7 millones de vacunas de COVID en Arizona a más de 2.3 millones de arizonenses, y tenemos ya 1.5 millones de arizonenses que tienen esa vacuna completa. Todo esto son buenas noticias y es un testimonio del compromiso del personal, de los voluntarios y de los muchos arizonenses que se están vacunando, pero todavía queda trabajo por hacer. A medida que la vacuna está disponible en más y más lugares, les animo a todos a visitar la página de internet del Departamento de Salud Estatal para hacer citas para vacunarse. Estas vacunas son seguras y son eficaces y son la luz al final del túnel. Son nuestro camino para volver a la normalidad, para protegernos a nosotros mismos, a nuestros seres queridos y a nuestros vecinos. Muchísimas gracias de nuevo a Dexcom, a la ciudad de Mesa, por ser unos anfitriones tan generosos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And with that, we're happy to take any questions.
Hi, this is Griselda Satino with KTAR, and my first question is, how will ventilation work here in this facility with so many cars running their engines?
I'm going to turn that over to our Dexcom partners. They want to know about ventilation.
Okay, so how are we handling the ventilation here? Great question. It was the first topic that we knew we needed to tackle. And our facilities director, Pat Bowens, who's actually standing behind you, has been working with the city of Mesa on the fire and also on the engineering side of life. They've conducted the studies. We have forced air coming down from the ceiling. We have the blowers going out. We've created a positive pressure that pushes through this vehicle space. And as we were running it this morning, everything ran flawlessly with the vehicles we had. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Christ? So we just learned that Westworld will become another state-run site. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And then also, are there plans to open more indoor sites across the valley?
That's a great question. We announced that we're opening up a vaccination site at Westworld, and so that will service the North Valley as well as our tribal communities around there. That will be a walk-up or a walk-in indoor facility at Westworld, and it will have a capacity of about 3,000 to 4,000 shots per day.
And are there plans to open more sites like that across the valley?
So we are looking, we're moving our State Farm Stadium into Gila River Arena, which we announced on Friday, and we're looking for an alternative site for our Phoenix Municipal Stadium.
Okay. All right. And then my last question, is there a concern that the various COVID-19 variants that we're seeing could spread more among young people since they're the population that isn't as vaccinated as older adults?
So we're always concerned about the variants. We're always looking at, what we're seeing in the community and whether or not they respond to treatments and vaccine. We do know that our younger population became eligible just a little while ago, so they're not as vaccinated as our high risk, but that was when we had the limited vaccines, that was one of the reasons that we focused primarily initially on our elderly, those that are in long-term care facilities, our healthcare workers, to keep them protected, because we know that the majority of younger individuals have less severe disease, and we're really trying to prevent those severe outcomes due to COVID.
But is there a concern that the variants might spread more among young people?
So they could. What we know, viruses mutate all the time, and so we could see variants become one of the more predominant strains among our younger people, and that's why we're still encouraging people, when you're with people that you don't live with, wear a mask, make sure that you're staying physically distanced, and to get vaccinated when it's your turn.
Right,
or actually, it's everybody's turn now, so get vaccinated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, can you hear me? I don't want to shout into the mic.
Yeah.
Shout at you. Okay. I wanted to ask you about supply and demand. Last week, ADHS had appointments still. You guys were advertising. We still have appointments open. They're not going as quick as they were. So I'm just curious, is there more supply than demand, or is demand starting to drop?
What I think we're seeing right now is supply starting to meet demand. And so you're right. As we were watching the appointments that we released on Friday, it took longer for them to fill. We still have appointments available at the University of Arizona and our Yuma site. So we are watching that. You'll start to see some PSAs coming out, encouraging everybody to get vaccinated and to show, talk to people that who have gotten the vaccine, so that people can become more comfortable. But we anticipate that the demand will start to slow a little bit.
How long are you planning on doing these mass sites? When will the focus change, instead of people to the vaccines to the people?
So as we continue to get more vaccine, you'll see that shift. You'll see us doing less of these, as people aren't as interested in coming to a mass vaccination site, and having more availability at pharmacies as well as in community events. So we're hoping that that's going to start to happen more and more as we move through April and then into May.
So are we looking at April, May transitioning from the large mega sites?
So we will likely continue the large mega sites for about 2-3 more months. It will depend on how much the demand supports us continuing that. But we always have to think, if we're giving shots today, we need somewhere for them to get their second dose 3 weeks from now. So we're always looking 3 weeks out. So this site would be still for several weeks.
And I just want to ask you really quick, and then I'm done. The long lines we saw last week, 2-3 hours for some people. I mean, did ADHS drop the ball somewhere, when it comes to volunteers and everything?
So we were working very closely with our partners out on this site. There were several things that were going on at the site. One, we were attempting to fill volunteers that were no-showing with staff site, but that took a little bit. We also, with the heat, were having some issues with the iPads. So ASU brought in additional iPads so that we could cycle them more frequently because they overheated. And so we were able within a day or two to get that back into a normal routine. I think that also transitioning to the overnight is going to help with a lot of that as well.
Is it fair for people to have to go overnight, though?
We're trying to give different opportunities. So that will be overnight just for the next few weeks. But we were surprised at how much demand there was when we first opened State Farm. I mean, people do take the appointments. State Farm is booked. But yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Want to just talk about, what these indoor sites, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Want to talk about what these indoor sites are going to provide you guys to be able to keep moving people through and how many people this will serve a day?
Yeah. So we're hoping that eventually this will have the same volume and capacity as Chandler Gilbert. So about 3,000 to 4,000 shots per day. We're going to start a little bit slower since it's our first run in an indoor drive-through site. But we're hoping to be able to get to that capacity here in the next couple of weeks.
And what does an indoor site provide you? Obviously, we know that these vaccines are very temperamental, if you will, need to be stored at specific temperatures, keeping staff cool, etc.
Yeah, so moving indoors allows us to protect our staff, our volunteers, and our patients. It gets hot out here in Arizona. So we want to make sure that the people are obviously the most important thing, and we want to make sure that they are safe. What we were identifying is that the temperatures were also playing a role in some of the technology issues, so that'll protect the technology and, of course, the vaccine. The vaccine does not like to be warm, and so keeping it at an indoor temperature is much more desirable.
What would you say for people, what would you say for people, who maybe they're on the fence, maybe they're looking at, those empty slots and going, or maybe they're hearing stories that they don't want to hear about people getting the vaccine. What kind of, I guess this is a better question, what response do you have to maybe vaccine hesitancy, and what are you noticing about vaccine hesitancy as we keep allowing more people to get the vaccine?
What I would tell somebody is that the vaccine has been proven to be safe and effective. We've administered millions of doses here in Arizona, so you probably know somebody who has gotten the vaccine. Many, many people are going to tell you the same thing, that they either had no side effects or they felt like they had the flu for a day or two and then were able to recover. But this is really our best way to get back to normal. So, we're hoping to be back to normal by end of summer, beginning of fall, so that we can do the things that we used to do and enjoy and be with the people that we love.
And then just following up on Nicole's question about volunteers, how are you guys staffing this site differently or the same as you are out at State Farm in order to try and avoid those situations you saw last week?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we put into place. So we're bringing in more paid staff to augment the volunteers, but we're also not closing the number of volunteers. So it wasn't that we weren't getting volunteers, it was that the slots were all filling up, but then there were no shows. So overstaffing on the volunteers so that we just take anybody who comes. We also shortened the shifts out at State Farm because those were long shifts. This one so far, because it's new, we haven't had really an issue, but really trying to make sure that we are just bringing in as many staff as we can.
And then Mayor Giles, if I could ask you a quick question. You mentioned police are helping staff this site nearly full time. What are they providing here?
Yes.
Sorry, did you hear that?
No, I did. So police, what are the police and fire staff here full-time providing?
Thank you very much. The question's about the police and fire staffing. As you exit, you'll see there's a command center that's in place. This is a challenging situation from a public safety point of view because you've got cars queuing up, you've got cars coming off the freeway. Obviously, with the high temperatures, we expect there's going to be automobile issues inside of the facility. So there's been a lot of thought and preparation that's gone into how do we deal with those contingencies. So there will be a strong both police and fire presence here throughout the time that this facility is open. I'd invite you to check in with Lieutenant Stokes. He's the on-site commander as you exit, and he can give you some details as to how many personnel from both police and fire. But it's a very strong public safety presence from the city of Mesa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a question about the vaccine cards. Once you get your second vaccine, should you do anything with your card? Can you laminate it? Should you not do it? Some do's and don'ts, kind of, if you will. And vaccine passports, if you could talk to those.
Yeah, so, those cards are very, very important. They're the documentation that you've received, either one or both doses, and what type of vaccine you got. We recommend just keeping the cards intact and carrying it with you. You don't want to do anything to alter the cards or to destroy it. You can get it, all of the records are being entered into ACES, and you can download from ACES your immunization record. We are looking into the potential of a vaccine passport because we know that people are going to want to be able to have access, but we're still working to identify how that works because we have to have somebody be able to access protected health information.
Have you guys considered car accidents in here? Because I've seen at State Farm people rear-ending. I saw one crash. Like, what would you do inside here?
So in here, this far lane is actually a fire lane so that our police and fire can get to it, and we would just respond just like we did at State Farm if there was an accident. They would come, we would make sure, we'd have our fire and police check to make sure that the patients were okay, and then follow the same protocols.
I believe you mentioned that the Phoenix Municipal Stadium vaccination site will eventually close. Is there a timeline for that?
I don't have a great timeline from that. We are trying to move as quickly as possible because this weekend showed us, how hot it can get out there. So as soon as we get those timelines and approvals, we'll let you guys know.
Hi, I know in previous weeks there's been some difficulty with getting enough volunteers to kind of help run the facilities. How does this kind of encourage people to want to volunteer here? And is there kind of a fear of the future of will we have enough volunteers?
So that's a great question. You can volunteer, and Steve can follow up with the online registration to volunteer. We've put several improvements in place, but what I would recommend if anybody's interested in volunteering, it is a great experience. People are really excited to be here. They're generally happy. It really is a great experience being out there and talking with everybody. But we've put a couple of improvements into place. So shortening the shifts because State Farm had 8-hour shifts and those are really long shifts. But also making sure that we're not closing off volunteers, that we're trying to do a lot of things to incentivize. But anybody who's looking to help out, we would love to have you here with us.
Yeah, is there a fear that in the future as demand starts to fall for the vaccine that there might not be quite as big of an influx of volunteers? And how do you plan to manage that?
Yeah, so we have partners here that we work with. They've got contracts to bring in that paid staff. What we identified was that the drop-off in volunteers was a little bit faster than we could bring those paid staff on. But now they're going to have a nice mix of paid staff as well as volunteers.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.